friends, it's Margaret, and today I'm bringing you my Treasure Planet themed TBR. I'm not doing a full November TBR this month because NaNoWriMo and Vaultathon are just taking all of my energy. So you're getting my Vaultathon TBR because honestly, that's the only one that I actually care about sticking to. I do have plans to read this month, don't worry. If you don't know, Vaultathon is a readathon inspired by underrated Disney films. It is going from November 18th to November 24th, and this round is inspired by Treasure Planet. This was one of my, defining movies growing up. The music and everything in this movie just, you feel it. You feel it, and the story. As of last year, we will be having a group movie night on November 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be a group hashtag, so you can tweet along as you are watching the movie. And also, we will be having a live show where we will discuss both the movie and the group book. That is going to be on November 24th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be joined by Christine from The Other Christine That Reads, Tati from Tati the Tiny Booktuber, and Cecilia from That Disney Chick. I cannot wait to get into this movie and this book together. I was so excited to have these ladies sign up. Makes me happy, makes my day. I love running this readathon. So for the group book this round, I decided to go with a book that reimagines another classic story, much as Treasure Planet reimagined Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I think that's who wrote it. So this time we will be reading Brightly Burning by Alexa Donne. This is a retelling of Jane Eyre. It follows Stella, who has been working as an engineer on the Stalwart. However, she really wants to be a teacher. She's been studying to be a teacher. So when a teaching position opens up on the Rochester, which is a ship orbiting the moon, she goes to teach a young girl on this spaceship, not knowing that there are a lot of secrets, that there are some shady things going along, and that the captain is probably going to fall a little bit in love with her. I really enjoy this book. If you had issues with some of the plot points in Jane Eyre, they are resolved. I'm thinking of one specific plot point, but they are resolved in this book. Really enjoy it. If you want a chance to win our group book, I actually have an extra copy that I will be giving away. I'll have all the details for that at the end of the video. Without further ado, let's go into my TBR. So not only will I be telling you what I am going to be reading for the prompts, I will also be recommending some books for you to read, because I know with readathons, it can be hard to find books that fit the prompts that have been put up. The first prompt is Space Pirates, and that is to read a book that is a reimagining of a classic. Obviously, I will be reading Brightly Burning. Don't feel like I need to tell you any more about this book. We've already talked about it. So the two books that I'm going to recommend you are first, Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. This is a middle grade retelling of Cinderella. It is really fun. It is about Ella, and she was cursed by her fairy godmother to always be obedient. This is about her when she's 16, and she's starting to really just have issues with the fact that she has no choice but to obey people. Obviously, going along the plot line of Cinderella, people have entered her life that are possibly abusing this power, and so there you go. She has issues and she's trying to solve them. Also, she might have fallen in love, and the curse makes these things kind of awkward. The other book that I want to recommend is a little bit more on the sci-fi side. I promise I did not plan this, but it's how it happened, and I'm going to recommend Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is also a retelling of Cinderella. It's kind of like a steampunk, spacey, sci-fi retelling of Cinderella, because Cinderella is a cyborg. So she was taken in as a young girl by these people who don't really like her because she is a cyborg, and cyborgs are thought of very poorly, and she's been repairing things, trying to make money for this family because they are not in the best terms financially, and then the prince brings her an android to repair, and she gets drawn into a whole bunch of stuff she just didn't ask for. These both have so many layers to them. They're like Cinderella and then some. Both of these authors managed to give an extra kick to that original Cinderella story. Unfortunately, in this one, no one cuts their toes off. I'm sorry, the stepsisters don't get what they deserve. The next prompt is Treasure Planet, and that is to read a book with stars on the cover. I am going to be reading Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This is about Cassiopeia. She lives in southern Mexico working in her grandfather's house. I'm interested to see how that situation happened. And she comes across this box, which she opens and accidentally sets free the Mayan god of death, or a death god of Mayan tradition. I'm not entirely sure if he is the death god or a death god. It's slightly vague in the synopsis. So she has to figure out what to do with this guy before, I don't know, he kills people. I'm assuming there are lives at stake here in this book. This takes place in the Jazz Age. I love the cover. It looks absolutely beautiful. The biggest thing you need to know about this, though, is that it has stars on this gorgeous cover. That's the most important thing, because it sounds good. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and there are stars. Okay? That's the important part. So first, I'm going to recommend Sanctuary by Karen Licks. This is about Kinsey. She's a junior guard in this prison space station for superpowered teens, and then she gets kidnapped by these superpowered teens because they are trying to escape. And she starts to discover that, the things that her parents have been telling her might not be true. about a lot of things. This was a surprise favorite. I was not expecting to like this book, especially at the very beginning. I was a little bit iffy at the very beginning of the book, but it ended up being one of my favorite reads of the month. I cannot wait to get my hands on the sequel. I liked the way that it explores the future. I love the idea of the world being run by all these different corporations. This is one of those that's like a really good, soft sci-fi where you're not getting too much, like you're not getting dumped on like you might in a David Weber novel. It's just a nice introduction to the genre. I love it. It is so much fun. The other book that I want to recommend, which is also a soft sci-fi, is Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. This is about Noemi and Abel, and they are two people on opposite sides of a war between Earth and the planet on Genesis. Noemi comes from Genesis, and Abel is an android-human hybrid, which makes him the enemy. However, he might have the key to saving her planet, so she has to team up with him and travel across the galaxy to gather the parts to actually build this machine that is going to keep Earth from taking over her planet. It is such a good book. I enjoyed it. The romance was so wonderful and well developed. I think the author does such a good job of keeping the plot interesting and dynamic, despite the fact that there are stretches of time where you only have two characters doing anything. It is so good. I enjoyed it. Number 3 is old-fashioned romance, and that is to read a book with at least a hint of romance. I understand not everyone is like, where is the romance from page 1 like I am. I get it. I do. So it doesn't have to have a lot of romance, it just needs to have a little bit of romance. For me, I'm going to be reading Brightly Burning by Alexa Donne. Again, we've covered it, don't need to go into any more detail. I have 2 books that I'm going to recommend. They don't have a lot of romance, but they do have a smidgen of it, so it satisfies the prompt, plus they're fun reads. The first one is The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. This is about Brianna, and she ends up stumbling across information that is necessary to get the queen back on her throne. So Brianna volunteers to help them get what they need so they can get the queen back where she belongs. This was a fun read. There's a little bit of romance in it. There are some awkward situations. The second-hand embarrassment was strong in places on this book, but also very necessary, because sometimes you just need to get over yourself and not die. I liked how Rebecca Ross really explored power and the people that are in power. I like how she explored the various roles that people play in things like revolutions. And one of the most interesting things is Brianna is not the queen. Like, I really like the fact that she is a side character. Like, she's not the most important character in the book, but she still has a huge impact on what happens, and what happens because she's there. Like, it wouldn't happen without her. So if you're looking for one where, like, the main character is not the chosen one, this is a really good one for you. The other one that I want to talk about, you've heard about on this channel multiple times, and that is Howls Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. This is just a fun book about sisterhood, about finding your place in the world, and about getting over yourself sometimes. Because both of the main characters in this book need to get over themselves at times. This is about Sophie, and she is the eldest of 3 daughters, which obviously means she is destined to fail at everything. She ends up getting turned into an old woman because she accidentally offends the Witch of the Waste, and that's not a great thing to do. And so she just decides that she needs to leave her family, go out into the wilderness, and she runs into this moving castle owned by the wizard Howl. And she realizes that there are people in this castle that might be able to lift the spell on her, so she agrees to be his housekeeper because, you know, she's an old woman. He's not going to eat her heart like he would if she was a lovely young woman. This book is the most fun you will ever have reading a book. At least the most fun that I have ever had reading a book. Like, I love it. I have reread it multiple times. Look at how battered this thing is. I love this book. I have lost track of the number of times I have reread it. It is amazing, it is fun, it is lighthearted, and yet it still manages to explore some very deep things. It manages to explore, like, oh man, it manages to explore self-esteem issues because Sophie has them. It manages to explore, like, family ties and what family means. It's just a wonderful book. I just read it. This is the second time we recorded this video. We had plenty of daylight when we started, and then I came back upstairs and realized I hadn't hooked up the mic. So the final book-related prompt is number 4, and that is Centroid of the Mechanism. For that, you need to read a book with a twist. I will be reading Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, because, hoo boy, do those books have twists in them. I'm still pissed about that last one, okay? This gets released the second day of Vaultathon. There was no way I was going to be able to build a TBR that did not include it, because I'm pretty sure at some point I'm just going to drop everything and read this book. I have been waiting for it since January. It's the 3rd book following The Cruel Prince and the Wicked King. It is full of hijinks and murder and mayhem and 2 idiots that just needed better parents in their life and better authority figures. Because they're both absolute freaking disasters. But they still work so well together. Especially in the second book. Like the first book, they're complete and total disasters and don't work all that well together. But the second book, they kind of get their crap together and start to respect each other. And that is like the best part of a rivals to lovers romance, is when they start to respect each other and go, oh, this person is not as awful as I thought they were. So I am actually going to recommend 2 books that don't have the traditional like plot twist. They're more a twist on a certain thing. The first one that I'm going to recommend is Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld. This is a twist on the history of World War I. You follow Darren, who is a young woman who has disguised herself so that she can be in the British Air Force, and you have Alec, who is the son of Franz Ferdinand. Yes, you heard me, the son of Franz Ferdinand. This is an alternate history of World War I, and in it, Franz Ferdinand and his wife have kids. A kid, who has to flee across Europe because the people who killed his parents also want to kill him. Very awkward. It is fun. It's very steampunk. If you didn't know, I love steampunk. Apparently, I did not know this until I read this book. But you have 2 really interesting elements in this. You have the Darwinists, who are able to create hybrid creatures. They've cracked the gene code. Don't ask how. Who cares? And then you have the Clankers, just like the German, Austrian, Hungarian, that side of Europe. And they make these giant mech machines. It is great. I love it so much. And it has, hold on, can I find one? It's upside. Has this been upside down the entire time? Here. Alright, I just spent 10 minutes holding a book upside down. That's fine. We're not going to redo any of that. The main point is it has pictures, okay? That's all that you need to know about this book. And the final book I will be recommending is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Daniel is dealing with the fact that his parents want him to be the good Korean son and go to like Yale or Harvard or something and become a doctor, and he wants to be a poet. And Natasha is dealing with the fact that her father opened his big mouth and now they are being deported. She is rushing around on this final day that she has in New York City, trying to find someone who will help her stay in our country and finish school and like complete all of her plans. This is such a fun little romance. Yes, it's a very heavy romance because Daniel thinks that you can fall in love in 24 hours and he convinces Natasha to let him prove it. I loved it so much. Not just the fact that you have these complex, intricate stories between Natasha and Daniel, you also have interspersed little snippets of the lives of the people that they encounter and the people that encounter them. It is just such an interesting exploration of the way that complete strangers can influence each other's day. The final 2 prompts for Vaultathon I can use any of these books for. They are I'm Still Here, which is to read a book while listening to music, and the Benbow Inn, which is to read a book somewhere that you can buy food. Doesn't matter if you actually buy food, just somewhere that you can buy food. If you have made it this far into the video, I'm going to tell you how you can win a copy of Brightly Burning by Alexa Donne. I didn't have any US people enter last time I did a giveaway, so I still have this. Actually, this is mine. You cannot have this one. There's a spiffy, brand new, never been read cover on my bookshelf back that way somewhere that will be yours. To enter, you do need to be a US resident because since this is a hard copy book, I will have to ship it to you and I cannot pay $20 shipping. I'm sorry. I am very sorry. I wish I could, but I cannot. So this giveaway is running until November 9th at 11:59 Eastern Standard Time. And you only have to do a couple of things. It's pretty easy. Number 1, you just need to post your Vaultathon TBR somewhere. It can be a full-on YouTube video. It can just be a tweet where you say, I'm reading this, this, and this. It's just tell me what you're reading for Vaultathon. Even if all you're reading is Brightly Burning, you only need to read 1 book to make all of the prompts. Once you have done that, come back to this video, comment done, give me your Twitter handle so I know where to contact you, and also give me a link to wherever you have your TBR posted. That is it. That is all you need to do to enter to win a copy of this book. Again, it is US only. I'm sorry to my international people. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you are new here and you would like more content like this, hit subscribe. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!